Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Reverse 1999 reaction. Today we have a Records Odyssey. This one was requested by Gardebro in the comments of the last video, and they also said I should listen to Where All the Paths Align, but at the same time, I don't have time for both of those. So I'm just going to be listening to this one. If you want me to get to Where All the Paths Align still later, comment it again this time around, but I'm just going to get to this one and see what this is all about. Apparently it's an anniversary song, but that's about all I got for detail. So without further ado, let's go! I know that from somewhere. Oh, it's the same first couple of notes. It's just looping the first half of the Avatar theme from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Well, now I can't unhear that, and neither can you. Why am I getting Midwest emo vibes out of this? Maybe it's the video. Ooh. Okay. Cut through with the vocals. What it takes for me to survive. Okay. That was a very interesting pre-chorus. It does kind of have that Midwest emo vibe to it, but it's more like poppy. Not the artist poppy, just pop, you know? I really do like, it's an interesting kick into the chorus, and this one was different from the last one. I actually really like how patient it's being. It's staying consistent. It's not trying to, like, bump anything up yet. Don't know if it will. Doesn't really feel like the type of song that would. Really love the texture in the vocalist's voice as well. Just, it's got that, like, crackly breathiness to it. Very Bryan Adams in that way. I appreciate that. It's a really nice characteristic. Between this snow-peaked mountains, I'll find my way through the silence. Ooh, and it ends like that. Well, that was kind of neat. It definitely did some familiar things, but it kept itself surprisingly original in how it was designing the sound. I don't think I've heard a song that was this reliant on the vocals being so set in the front compared, like, again, it's kind of Midwest emo esque, like it's kind of got that vibe to it. And usually those are a lot more like loud and shouty, and they have that essence to them because it's supposed to feel like a nostalgic scream, you know? Where this did have that aspect to it, but it held itself back a lot more. So this one has me a little bit introspective because while I was saying it definitely had Midwest emo vibes to it, I think it was definitely more of like an alt-rock energy, mostly because of the vocalist. I think she kind of fits that mold a little bit better, which she probably sings a bunch anyway. Just somebody with that voice type doesn't just not use it for alt-rock, you know what I mean? It's always going to be a thing, but for this one, the energy of the song being a lot more downtrodden and a little bit more subtle. It's like, that's what was getting me with this song and why I was appreciating certain aspects of the production in general, like the looping, the do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and it was just a subtle change, and it was just a constant loop. And it was just maybe like two different sets, but very similar sets of notes that were playing through that entire thing, and I'm like, well, that's an interesting way to handle that sort of looping energy in a song, and it was so consistent all the way through again. So like that's kind of adding to that feeling of nostalgia and churning to the song. It made it feel a little bit more lethargic and slow paced because you're hearing the exact same thing over and over again, and it's always resetting your mind subconsciously. And I found that whole thing with the voice being more present, especially in that first pre-chorus, kind of an interesting choice because I'm like, what's going on? You know, like what's the point of the vocalist being so upfront? And I think that might have just been a general production choice, but it also makes me wonder if there wasn't a purpose for that in the character, like having them alone for a split second and just having the entire song isolate them and their message right there before it kicks in a little bit more. It definitely could just be whatever, but it always makes me wonder when songs make choices like that and when I can't really pick out exactly why it would be happening. I also think it might have been just putting me off a little bit because the voice was so heavily affected. I think she was singing very well, like don't get me wrong, there's definitely going to be processing no matter what though, and I think that was throwing me off a little bit with just like how many effects there were applied to the voice, probably to nestle the voice in with the rest of the instruments. It was a pretty full mix with all these instruments, and again, that slow aspect, there's a lot of like frequencies that'll dangle and stay around a little longer than usual, so maybe that was a factor as well. Maybe it was just the processing of the voice that made it feel a little bit more present and forward, especially in that moment. The rest of the song, especially when all the other instruments are involved, like the chorus, definitely didn't have as much of a notable characteristic to it, so I think it was just pretty much exclusively the mix in hindsight, but it was just an interesting choice to do that and have everything in general for the writing perspective drop out and have just the voice there as the pre-chorus before it kicked everything in and brought that energy with it. And I mean, the message of the song kind of has this cyclical energy too. It's just like the day is ever changing, things just continue going on. It's the world never stops turning sort of mentality, and that song definitely does a good job at making you feel that, especially with those looping factors of that melody in the background. But there are just a lot of aspects of this song that cater to that concept, and of course, as a thematic song, you want that to happen. You want the song to be able to reflect the point that it's being written for, obviously, otherwise it wouldn't have a story, right? So there's just a lot in this song, but I think it's because it sounds a little bit nostalgic that it kind of hit me in a weird way, because I love the feeling of nostalgia. It's something I've always appreciated, and I like to feel it because it reminds me of simpler times, of course. Same reason a lot of people have the same reaction. But for this one, it also just kind of felt strangely empty, and I feel like that has something to do with the character's backstory that I'm just not aware of, obviously. But either way, it's just a really well-produced song, all things considered. I think some of the production choices are a bit odd, but I don't think any of them are necessarily bad. You know, like, again, the whole vocal thing with all those effects added to it, that's just gonna be there and it needs to be there. But also there were a lot of points in the song where I noticed them and I usually don't. So I was like, how do I process that? You know, like sometimes you just have to separate the message from the production and a few of your biases if they do exist. And for me, there might have just been a few things in this production, the mix in general, where it was just kind of throwing me off. But again, not necessarily bad. It was just, there were some things where I was like, why did they do that? but also I get it. Like, I think overall, I wanted there to be a little bit more punch going into the chorus, not even just that first one, the second one as well. I think that transition's fine, but I also feel like there was a lot of energy left on the table. Like, the vocalist was putting a lot more in than the instrumental was giving. So there was kind of a separation of that too, but there's also the potential of that being on purpose. Like, if that has something to do with the story, if, for example, the singer reflecting the character that this is supposed to be a theme for is somebody who tries their hardest and is constantly putting 110% into everything they do and has been struggling with putting that much effort out, comparatively, the world around them, the instrumental, is a little bit lackluster in power, and it feels a little bit, you know, like gray and monotonous. Things are just repetitive and kind of boring, but at the same time, it serves its purpose. But again, then you have that really powerful vocal on top that seems to be contrasting the effort of the rest of the world. So that could be the case as well. There's a lot going for this song. I did not think that this song of all things was going to be one that I like got this introspective on, but I've been here for a while just thinking about this song now. So I guess it served its purpose in that way, didn't it? But like I said, I have been yapping a while, so I'll call it here. Thank you all so very much for watching. Thank you for requesting this song. And if you have something else you want me to get to, by all means, drop it in the comments below. Or if you want me to get to that same one that was in the other comment from earlier, you could also drop that down below, and maybe I'll get to that next time. But if you don't want to do any of that, and maybe you just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that. And I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!